I was doing coke a lot. Between that period, I started doing coke like all day, every day. And it was me, my best friend, and this girl. We hit up the Coke Connect, and we hit up like a couple of them, and all three of them were at the same place at this girl's house. All three of the plugs. So we go to this girl's house. It was another girl that we went to school with. We walk in this house, and they're in like this little side room, and they had like a plate or a mirror with a big mound of coke on it, you know, because all our guys were there together. So we go in there. They're in like this weird little side room. There's like a U of couches, you know, it's like a room made for hanging out. Start passing this plate around, and then these older people start showing up to this room. They're probably like 30, you know, and we're 17. They start sitting in this room with us, and we're passing them the plate, and they're like, no, it's all right. I remember thinking like, what is wrong with you guys? There's this giant mountain of cocaine. You guys don't want to do any? So we're hanging out there for a little bit, and this old Asian man comes out. The girl whose house it was, she was an Asian girl. And he comes out of nowhere, and it was almost like a scene from a movie. Like, he comes out, and he sits cross-legged on one of these couches in this little U shape that we're sitting in, and he pulls out an oil burner, a meth pipe. And I'd never seen one at the time. Like, it triggered my mind like, oh, this is a meth pipe, you know. And he pulls it out and he starts hitting it, and he hands it to his friends that are there. And me and my buddy, who was my buddy for years, like, we look at each other, you know, I don't even think we had to say anything. We just looked at each other, and he's like, let's do it, dude. And I'm like, all right, you know. The old Asian guy, like, you know, notions to us like, you guys want to hit it? And we're like, yeah, you know, like, we don't know what we're doing, but yeah, we want to do it, you know. So we end up started smoking meth. I remember leaving that night and walked home. I got home, and then I knew someone who sold meth. One of my coke dealers sold meth. So the next time I called my coke dealer, I was like, hey man, let me get a 20. But I was like, let me get a 20 of meth. Like, right away, I'm like, yo, coke, no more coke. Like, I'm a fucking meth guy, you know? So I just started buying meth. Well, when I started buying meth, I isolated myself from all my coke friends, because I'm like, oh, I can't let people know that I'm doing meth now. No one's going to be okay with that. So probably a couple months later, I ended up talking to my friend that I smoked meth with that night, who was like my best friend. And then now I didn't talk to him for 2 months. And he's like, hey, he's like, come over to my house. So I go over to his house, and I'm like, hey man, I got to tell you something. He's like, what's up? I was like, I've been smoking meth every day since that night at that girl's house. And he starts laughing, and he pulls out a meth pipe, and he's like, so have I.